Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to pull together some incredibly diverse sources to unpack a truly fascinating historical arc. We're going to look at how the Islamic historical narrative was systematically disrupted by colonialism, how its core theology managed to endure that immense pressure, and, perhaps most interestingly, how modern creators are actively reclaiming their history right now using a wild mix of pop culture and artificial intelligence. It's a massive story of destruction, survival, and a very modern digital rebirth. Let's get into it. To keep things clear, we've broken our agenda down into 4 parts. 1. The colonial rupture. 2. Enduring core beliefs. 3. Reclaiming identity through media. And 4. The AI digital renaissance. Starting right off with Section 1, the colonial rupture, deconstructing a civilization. When we map out the history here, the sheer scale of the disruption is honestly staggering. Our sources describe it almost like a 1,000-year plan to dismantle the Muslim world. It kicks off way back in 1095 with Pope Urban II's call for the Crusades, which really started framing Muslims as the ultimate antithesis to Europe. From there, it sweeps through the Enlightenment's secular shift, gets supercharged by the lethal machinery of the Industrial Revolution, and finally peaks with the global colonial expansion of the 19th and 20th centuries. But here's the absolutely crucial point we need to understand. The ultimate goal wasn't just physical conquest, taking land and resources. It was epistemicide. Basically, a deliberate attempt to colonize the mind itself. The colonizers actively sought to wipe out indigenous Islamic knowledge systems and replace them with Western secularism, completely rewiring how conquered populations understood the world. You can really hear the visceral contempt they had for traditional knowledge in the words of people like Lord Macaulay. He famously claimed that just a single shelf of a European library was worth all the native literature of India and Arabia combined. Wow, right? They used that exact mindset to justify tearing down local education systems, rendering traditional scholars totally obsolete, and forcing completely foreign structures, like Anglo-Mohammedan law, onto the local populations. And they didn't stop at education. They went right for the financial backbone of the society, the Waqf system. Historically, this was a brilliant endowment system that protected land so it could fund independent hospitals, mosques, and schools. Because the land was legally considered to be owned by God, European capitalists couldn't buy it. So what did colonial administrations do? Well, the French in Algeria, for example, just forced these endowments under state control. It literally starved independent scholars and local communities of their autonomy overnight. Which brings us to Section 2, enduring core beliefs, the surviving theology. Despite this massive centuries-long structural earthquake, the core theology of Islam deeply endured. The spiritual fortress held firm, and our sources point out why. The faith wasn't just stored away in libraries that could be burned or laws that could be rewritten. It survived as a lived reality. It was completely woven into waking, eating, working, and tethered to the rhythmic anchor of 5 daily prayers. You just can't easily legislate a lifestyle like that out of existence. You also see this deep resilience in Islamic eschatology, the study of the end times. The sources outline a really distinct theological coherence here. Compared to Judeo-Christian narratives, the Islamic tradition provides uniquely detailed, vivid descriptions of the transition to the afterlife. It focuses heavily on specific signs of the hour and intense personal accountability, drawing a unified narrative straight from the Quran and Hadith. This belief in the Day of Judgment, the scales of justice known as the Mizan, and the vivid realities of Jannah and Jahannam, paradise and hellfire, acts as a powerful moral compass. Think about it. When you are laser-focused on ultimate, divine justice and eternal accountability, it gives you the resilience to endure worldly hardships and historical conquests with your spiritual identity completely intact. Moving on to Section 3, reclaiming identity through media, the pop culture push. So, how exactly does a community go about actively reclaiming a narrative that was systematically dismantled for centuries? Well, a major answer lies in pop culture, specifically the massive global explosion of Turkish television dramas like Ertugrul. We aren't talking about a cheap soap opera here. This is a huge budget production about a plucky band of rebels invoking their faith to triumph against Crusaders and Mongols. It finally gives audiences a chance to reclaim the hero role on screen. Cultural writer Laline Sukrera summed up this phenomenon perfectly. She noted that the show offers a much-needed alternative narrative to the recent history of colonial subjugation. For millions of young people watching, it replaces feelings of defeat with a high-production vision of a glorious, triumphant past. It's a real game-changer for cultural self-esteem. The impact of this was particularly wild to see in Pakistan. It was actually endorsed by the former prime minister and dubbed into Urdu for daily Ramadan broadcasts, turning it into an absolute grassroots sensation. And uniquely, it totally captivated the under 35 male demographic. Our sources report it sparked intense conversations about whether Pakistan's identity aligns more with its immediate South Asian roots or this wider, triumphant Islamic historical narrative. That is the power of pop culture, doing the heavy lifting of identity formation. And finally, Section 4, the AI Digital Renaissance, Rebuilding the Narrative. As big as those TV shows are, the real revolution is happening at the grassroots level. Today, everyday creators are pushing back against the colonial narrative using incredibly basic setups. Seriously, forget multi-million-dollar studios. We're talking about someone using an old iPhone SE, a cheap lapel mic, and literally pinning a 300 rupee bedsheet to a wall as a green screen. And yet, with just these tools and artificial intelligence, they're engineering cinematic, highly popular Islamic documentaries right from their bedrooms. To put the scale of their research into perspective, think about the number 99.5. That is the megabyte size of just one single Quran PDF. It's a massive file. Because AI models often restrict how much text you can feed them at once, these modern creators are coming up with super creative workarounds. Instead of relying on generic watered-down internet summaries, they are feeding these massive classical texts directly into AI to get straight to the authentic source material. Their scripting process is honestly brilliant. They take massive volumes of classical texts, like the 20-volume Tafsir Ibn Kathir, convert them and upload them directly to advanced AI, like Claude, to essentially train the model on deep history. This lets them generate these rich, 30-minute scripts that capture the exact nuance and theological depth of Islamic history. It's a total bypass of the traditional gatekeepers of information. The whole workflow is like a seamless digital assembly line. The AI writes the long-form scripts, those scripts automatically generate specific visual prompts, the static images are pushed through animation tools, and finally, it's all edited together into a masterpiece. And the level of detail they get with the visuals is staggering. They use AI to generate historically accurate characters, dial in the cultural clothing, and even prompt the AI to respect religious sensitivities, like adding a glowing white light to obscure the faces of revered historical figures. Then, they use frame-to-video tools to make these generated images perfectly lip-sync voices speaking in Urdu. It is literally bringing history to life. Then comes the editing polish. With a few clever video editing tricks, like simple keyframe zooming to give static images some dynamic movement, seamless scene transitions, and some dramatic, copyright-free background music, these grassroots creators are achieving a professional quality that easily rivals traditional television studios, all from a desk in their bedroom. It's a fascinating contrast, isn't it? Think back to the Industrial Revolution. It utilized centralized, rigid machines, like the Maxim gun and the steam engine, to dominate populations and enact epistemicide. But today, the AI revolution is doing the exact opposite. It uses decentralized, highly accessible digital tools to empower the everyday individual to reclaim and broadcast their own heritage. Which leaves us with a pretty profound question to wrap up this explainer. If the last 1,000 years were defined by a systematic, top-down attempt to erase and rewrite cultural narratives, as AI places the unprecedented power of epic storytelling into the hands of absolutely anyone with a smartphone, how will this digital renaissance reshape our global identity? Whose history will define the next 1,000 years? Thanks so much for exploring this fascinating topic with me.